Hi there, and thanks for clicking on the video. So here we've got Dave's second test. You may have seen his first test where he failed for not checking his left mirror before moving across a bus lane. So let's see how he gets on today. So he heads towards the gates to exit the car park, and then examiner asks Dave to turn left out of the car park onto the main road. At this point, the sat-nav is now running, and Dave is following the sat-nav. Ahead, second exit at this first roundabout. Here, the sat-nav says cross the roundabout and take the third exit. This instruction confuses a lot of people as they think that's been the left lane as they're going ahead, but the examiner steps in and says it's turning right, third exit at the roundabout. Remember, when following sat-nav, do not assume cross the roundabout means following the road ahead. It could be a right turn. As he enters the roundabout, he starts to count his exits. There's the first exit, so keep in the right lane. Anticipating the traffic lights might change, easing off the gas slightly and committing. Here's the second exit coming up. So checking his mirrors and signalling left. Now he could go to the left lane here if it's clear, but he comes off in the right lane as I believe there might be a car next to him. As he then comes off the roundabout, he then moves back to the left lane well. Now please let me know in the comments below if you like the videos on these driving tests to be at real speed like this one, or if I should speed up certain parts like this bit at the moment where it's a bit boring where we're just driving along in a straight line. He does well here to slow his speed slightly, going down to about 45 miles an hour because the lights could change at any point, especially because in the mock test in the past he stayed at 50 and sod's law the light changed and he had to brake incredibly hard and stopped well beyond the stop line. Noticing the 30 mile an hour change here, so checking his mirrors and slowing down to 30. The sat-nav now asks Dave to turn right at the roundabout, third exit, so he checks his mirrors and sees a black car coming up fast, so he allows them to overtake. And once they've overtaken, he then signals right and moves over to the right lane. This is a good example of why you should always check your mirrors and then signal. If Dave would have signalled without checking his mirrors and assessing what's happening, he would have scared the black car that was looking to overtake, and the black car may not have then overtaken and may have sat very close behind Dave. And then Dave has got the awkward decision. The black car doesn't want to overtake, nor does the black car want to slow down and let Dave move across. So have you done a driving test recently? How did it go? Did you pass or fail? Or did you pass your test years ago? Let me know about your driving test experiences on the comments below. Dave now checking his middle and left mirror here for anyone overtaking as the left lane merges. Now, despite it being Dave's priority, if someone was overtaking you here, you don't want to just think it's your priority and keep going. You just need to brake and let them do their overtake. At this point, the sat-nav asks Dave to turn right in half a mile. Dave gets a bit confused by this and positions to the right lane, not realising that half a mile is still quite far away. This then results him taking the wrong turn. It is at this point Dave realises his mistake, as he looks at the sat-nav and realises the turn he's supposed to be taking is still quite far away, almost half a mile away. He then asks the examiner, "Is it okay for me to turn right here?" The examiner replies, "Yes, that's fine, do whatever's safe and legal, please." No faults are given for this, as Dave has done nothing wrong. Going the different way on a driving test is not a fault. The examiner asks Dave to move back to the left lane, so he checks his middle and left mirror, signals left, and moves to the left lane. He advised this so Dave can then follow the road ahead, a second exit at the next roundabout. At this point, the sat-nav has now recalculated the route, and the examiner says please just continue to follow the route on the sat-nav. A minor fault is given here for judgment meeting, as the examiner feels Dave could be slightly closer to the parked cars to allow space for the oncoming BMW to come through. Please could you pull up on the left just behind this next parked car? Thank you, please drive on when you're ready. Now in his last driving test, Dave got some minor faults for moving off safety, as he neglected using his mirrors, he just checked his blind spots. So this time when pulling away, he checks his middle and right mirror and right blind spot and then pulls away. No faults were given this time, as his observation was much better and much more thorough. At the end of the road, Dave will be turning right, so he checks his middle and right mirror, signals right, uses his brakes to slow his speed, clutch down, changing to first gear, and then looking left, right for his gap to go. Please could you find a safe place to pull up on the left? Having found a safe place, Dave checks his mirrors, signals left, and then pulls in between the parked vehicles. Dave then makes sure he checks his mirrors and blind spot, signals right, and then pulls away. Please could you pull up on the left between these two parked vehicles? Thank you. This is now going to be the reverse parking exercise. So I'd like to pull forwards and pull up next to the parked vehicle, and then reverse park to end up reasonably close and parallel to the curb, trying to finish within 2 car lengths of the parked vehicle. You will probably end up over the driveway, but please do not worry about that. We are okay to block the driveway, but please do not go onto the driveway. Having checked his mirrors and his blind spot, Dave then pulls out to pull up alongside the parked vehicle as instructed. He then selects reverse gear straight away, so any other vehicles turn up, they can see his reverse lights and know his intentions. He then checks his right blind spot, right mirror, road ahead, middle mirror, left blind spot, and then starts to back up as it's all clear. He does well to pause before he steers in, as he pauses and checks his right mirror and right blind spot as the front of his car is going to swing out at this point. He doesn't want to do this if there's someone overtaking him. He gets to an appropriate angle and then straightens the wheels. He could have the angle slightly tighter than this, but it's not a problem as there's no parked vehicle behind him, so the angle can be quite shallow. He then backs up in a straight line. And when he realises his back wheel is near the curb, he steers away from the curb, waiting for the car to be parallel from the curb, and then straightening his wheels. He then pulls forward to do a slight adjustment as he feels he's a little bit far from the curb, but this is not marked by the examiner as the correction is so minor it's not worth marking. Also, he was reasonably close to the curb in the first place. They're not looking for you to be super tight to the curb. About a foot away from the curb, 30 centimetres is perfectly acceptable. No faults were given at all for this manoeuvre as it has performed very well. The observations are very good as well, as Dave was constantly looking round in his blind spots and his mirrors. Thank you, please drive on when you're ready, says the examiner. Turning left at the end of the road, having checked his mirrors, Dave then signals left, uses his brakes to slow his speed, clutch down, selects first gear, looking left, right, and then we're good to go. turning right at the end of this road. And now taking the next road on the left. And once you've turned left, then turn right at the end of the road. At the roundabout, we're going to be following the road ahead, a second exit towards Manor Royal. Dave positions correctly in the left lane. A lot of people, they get a bit confused and go for the middle lane as they think the left lane's left only. But please remember, the left lane is only left only if it says it's left only. You can clearly see here it's not marked as left only, so the left lane goes ahead, second exit. Good steering as well here as he steers to follow the curb to aim him into the left lane when he merges onto the roundabout. New road, new speed, 30 miles per hour here. At the next roundabout, Dave is going to be turning left, first exit. So he sees the left lane coming up he needs to go into, so he checks his middle and left mirror, signals left and moves to the left lane. As the lights change, he then slows down to stop behind the stop line. Good speed choice here, as Dave keeps within the 30 mph speed limit. Of course it is 30 here, as we can see there's quite a lot of pedestrian crossings and footpaths and quite a lot of entrances. So quite a high chance of having to slow down for pedestrians or vehicles pulling out from all those entrances. He now realises the bus lane on the left is ending here, so he checks his middle and left mirror and then moves back to the left lane to carry on following the road ahead. If he would have stayed in the right lane, that would have been for turning right, as you can see by the road markings here. So always remember, go back to the left lane if you're following the road ahead. He's now going to be turning left at these traffic lights, but notice here there's no speed limit change. As the lights change, he checks his left mirror nicely and then decides to go into the right lane. He could have gone to the left lane as long as there's no bus next to him, but going to the right lane is not really a problem. He should really though move back to the left lane here, but again not really a massive problem as he is turning right to the next roundabout, which is coming up fairly soon. Notice the 40 mph reminder here. Now Dave misses this and still thinks the road's 30, but to be fair the road isn't very well marked as there should have been a 40 sign at the traffic lights where he turned left at. He does however get a minor fault for this as he's doing 30 on a 40 mph road in the right lane. Now in this roundabout, Dave is looking for the third exit towards Brighton, A23. If we look at the sign on the left, we can see it's either middle or right lane. Dave decides to use the right lane as he's not sure if he's allowed to use the middle one. As he comes round the roundabout, he notices the road markings well and moves towards the middle lane while checking his left mirror. He anticipates the lights and then commits, and then comes off in the right lane. Now, a good choice here to come off in the right lane, as this is where the lane he chose, the right lane, is directing towards. If he was wanting to come off in the left lane, he should have been in the middle lane when approaching the roundabout. He then realises well he needs to go back to the left lane when it's safe to. This is something he learned from his last test. In his last test, he didn't really realise this fully and got a minor fault for staying in the right lane. He has a good speed here, as he needs to anticipate people could be pulling out from the slip road on the left. If you're trying to do 50 in the left lane here, you could have problems. Following the road ahead, second exit at the next roundabout, Dave reads the road markings well and stays in the middle lane as the left lane is clearly marked as left only. Good steering here as he stays near the white line on his left to make sure his car is pointing and aiming towards the correct lane, the left lane, when he enters the roundabout. Failure to steer like this can often result in understeering and the driver cuts across to the right lane rather than staying tight to the left lane. He picks up his third driver fault here as the road is a 50 mph road but he's only doing 40 miles an hour and being overtaken. Looking ahead, we can see it's quite safe to be going to 50. There's nothing to brake for, no hazards ahead, no hazards to the sides. It is, however, appropriate to be going slower here, as the traffic lights could change at any point. And also, we can now see the speed limit changing to 30 miles per hour. He also does well to stick to 30 all the way down this road, which can sometimes be tricky as all the other drivers are speeding and going over the speed limit and you're the only one doing the speed limit. Checking his middle and right mirror here as the right lane ends here, so there could be traffic overtaking and cutting in front of him. If this was to happen, Dave would need to be aware of his mirrors and then brake. Turning right at this roundabout, third exit. As we come round the roundabout, we can see there's traffic braking and blocking the exit. Dave should ideally be stopping here to allow the black Mercedes on the left to pull out. But, as you'll see, he continues ahead and stops directly behind the queue of traffic, which means the black Mercedes can't pull out. This, however, is not marked as a fault, possibly because he's only stopped for a few seconds, and it's a bit of an odd situation, as looking ahead, it looks like one of the road workers walked into the road and stopped all the traffic unexpectedly. Coming back to the left lane here, well. Ahead, second exit at this roundabout. And then again, ahead, second exit at this roundabout. Better speed here, as Dave picks his speed up and gets to nearly 50 miles an hour, as it is quite safe to do so. Turning left, first exit at this next roundabout. So after checking his mirrors, he then signals left as he passes the 300-yard marker. Slightly slow on this road, doing no more than 50 miles per hour when it's safe to get to 60 or even 70 miles per hour, but this is not marked. The examiner now advises Dave there's two roundabouts coming up, both very close together. Please go ahead, second exit at the first roundabout, and then turn right. The examiner gives this warning of two roundabouts very close together, as soon as he's done the first roundabout, he needs to be prepared to move to the right lane to turn right the second roundabout. He remembers well he's turning right this next roundabout, checks his mirrors, signals right, and then moves to the right lane. The examiner now clarifies it's going to be turning right, third exit, towards Pease Pottage Services. You can see services marked on the road, so we know Dave is in the correct lane. Committing to the traffic lights, and then starting to count his exits. So that's the first exit, keep in the right lane, notice services on the road. Here's the second exit coming up, so checking his middle and left mirror, signalling left, and if it's safe, moving to the left lane. Again, noticing services, Pease Pottage, clearly marked on the road to confirm where to be positioned. Following the road ahead, second exit at this final roundabout. Please now take the next road on the right back into the test centre. It's where the white signs are, just where that silver car's turned in. So Dave checks his mirrors, signals right, and slows to give way to the oncoming vehicles. Please now follow the road round to the left, making sure you're mindful of any pedestrians that could be round the corner. Please now just drive forwards into one of these bays on the right. It is not a manoeuvre, so don't worry if you're not perfectly in the bay. Thank you. Please secure the car and then switch off the engine. I'll be with you in a moment.